Can a terrorist organization transform into a force for democracy? The future of Syria hangs in the balance. The fall of Bashar al-Assad's 24-year reign has brought celebrations, chaos, and a rush for control.
Their descent on Aleppo has been blistering in its speed, taking the Syrian regime and the world by surprise.
Well, the Assad family controlled Syria with an iron fist for 53 years.
The new intense rebel fighting as well that's happening in Syria against its government, it's now causing thousands of people to be displaced.
As the dust settles, the true complexity of the power struggle emerges. Who are the players shaping Syria's uncertain future? In less than 2 weeks, rebel forces swept through Syria, culminating in the dramatic takeover of Damascus. Crowds have filled the streets, celebrating what many hope is the dawn of a new chapter. Yet, behind jubilation is a country fractured by rival factions, each with competing visions vying for dominance. Among these groups, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, has emerged as a leading force. Originally founded as Jabhat al-Nusra in 2011, HTS began as an affiliate of al-Qaeda, formed with the involvement of Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, and even the notorious leader of the self-styled Islamic State, IS or ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. For a time, al-Nusra worked closely with al-Qaeda before tensions erupted, splitting the two factions. In 2016, Jawlani publicly severed ties with al-Qaeda, rebranding his group as HTS. But the shadow of its Islamic State connection still lingers. While HTS rejected Baghdadi's vision of a global caliphate, both groups share a history of ideological extremism. HTS sought to distinguish itself by focusing on local governance and Syrian resistance, but its violent past and allegations of human rights abuses continue to raise global concerns. Despite its efforts to rebrand, HTS remains designated as a terrorist organization by the US, UN, and Turkey. International observers note that while its leadership now speaks of inclusivity and stability, the group's reputation is deeply tied to its militant roots.
I say to people, don't judge by words, but by actions. I believe the reality speaks for itself. These classifications are primarily political and at the same time wrong.
In 2023, Jawlani attempted to demonstrate a shift by hosting the first Christian mass in years in the city of Idlib and assuring the safety of Christian communities south of Aleppo. Yet, many see these moves as just calculated efforts to gain legitimacy rather than genuine ideological change. HTS is not alone in shaping Syria's post-Assad landscape. Other factions, including the Turkish-backed Syrian National Army and Kurdish-led forces, have taken advantage of Assad's retreat to solidify their positions. Meanwhile, remnants of the so-called Islamic State still lurk in the Syrian desert, posing a continued threat. Unlike HTS, Islamic State remains committed to its apocalyptic vision for the world, and its remnants could exploit the unfolding chaos to regroup. The rapid collapse of Assad's forces reflect years of shifting dynamics. Russia, Assad's most powerful ally, has diverted its resources to the war in Ukraine, leaving Syria vulnerable. Iranian militias, another pillar of support for Assad, have also weakened, creating opportunities for rebel advances. As former British Army chemical weapons expert Hamish D. Breton-Gordon explained to Sky News, with Hezbollah much diminished, the Iranian proxy in the region, and also other Iranian militias, it gave the rebels an opportunity. With Russia taking so many forces away from Syria to bolster their special military operation in Ukraine, it left Assad exposed, and the rebels have really taken advantage of it. But with Assad gone, the question remains, what happens next? Rebel alliances forged in the heat of battle are unlikely to hold under the pressures of governance. HTS has a history of infighting with other opposition groups, and such clashes could re-emerge as the power vacuum deepens. At the same time, external powers like Turkey, Iran, Russia, and the US are recalibrating their strategies. President-elect Donald Trump stated, "Assad is gone. He has fled the country. His protector, Russia, led by Vladimir Putin, was not interested in protecting him any longer. Russia and Iran are in a weakened state right now, one because of Ukraine and a bad economy, the other because of Israel and its fighting success. In any event, Syria is a mess, but it is not our friend, and the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved." But despite this message of non-interference, Trump's words can vary wildly from his actual actions, which are often difficult to predict. Each country has its vested interests in Syria, from territorial influence to strategic alliances, and their moves will be as critical to the country's future as the actions of local factions. Syria's future is as fractured as its past. The fall of Assad's regime marks the end of one chapter, but raises new questions about who will shape the next. With HTS's troubled history, the lurking threat of Islamic State, and the influence of global powers, the road ahead is anything but clear. The Syrian rebels face a decisive moment. With Assad's regime toppled, they have a rare chance to rewrite Syria's future. But their history looms large, especially for groups like HTS, whose past ties to extremism complicate their claim to legitimacy. For HTS and other factions, the task is monumental, shedding the shadow of terrorism and proving that they can lead Syria toward democracy. Their success or failure won't just define their legacy, it will shape the future of a nation desperate for peace, unity, and stability after years of devastation.
When I returned to Syria, I didn't want to bring what happened in Iraq into Syria. That's why there were disagreements between us and ISIS. What is happening in Syria is significant for the entire world.